Hey everyone, my name is Phil.
I'm Erika.
And today we are watching The Passion of the Christ. Let's dive in.
Yeah, I was a kid when this came out, and I do recall like it being very gruesome, but I've never seen it like all the way through. I think because I was a kid. Revisited the movie. I think I was scared to watch it.
People have like different philosophies about how important it is to see it. Not necessarily this video or this movie, but like to understand how gruesome and how painful it was for you to like really connect with what the sacrifice was. I don't know where I land on that spectrum, but I can understand that perspective.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it is. There is some significance to seeing what Jesus went through.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit more during the discussion, but I'm back and forth on it. Especially because this is an interpretation, right?
Latin يبدأ أدنار كار بيني
Couldn't even hand it to him. Couldn't even close it tightly. It makes it so much tougher. Instead of just taking the bag, now you have to pick up every single piece of silver to remind you of what you're doing. You know what I mean? It's like one thing to just take it, like, all right, it's done. Now it's like, oh gosh, this is what I'm doing. Whoa, that is freaky.
هنكهل قصدك يا مني
Is that just dirt or is he bleeding already?
I don't know.
Kinda looks
It's
like
like
blood,
sweating
but-
blood.
Ew. Ew. A maggot?
Typical.
Predictable, Satan.
Here we come to steal, kill, and destroy again.
There you go.
We know the playbook. I want to see the accuracy of this ear chop. I was always confused by this.
The ear?
Yeah.
Here they are.
I guess that makes sense here. The soldiers wouldn't know who he is. Right? They need to figure out who.
Oh gosh. That's just trifling.
What the immediate moments after the arrest were like for the disciples and Judas? Or did he like flee immediately?
Who, Judas?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they all fled immediately. Except John. There it is. Oh. Oh, he took the helmet off.
Got him!
He wasn't even trying to resist. They're just like, Wow, this man stayed on his knees. Oh, whoa, what? Oh!
Brood of vipers, huh?
There they go.
Yeshua din Nazareth. Yeshua.
Oh, hush, hush.
So what soldier is that, if those are centurions?
I don't know. I thought they're all Romans.
Yeah, so it's,
Maybe it's just like a tier below. Like these guys are, I don't know, centurions, and the other ones are just.
Melius nobis eundum est, eis nuntiandum quod molestia ugecit.
Pontius?
Abbenadero, idiota!
It's like a private army for the
The Romans?
no the religious leaders.
No, they're not. No, they don't have that.
I know. So who's this? The eyes look so unnatural.
I know. I was gonna say, does eyes look yellow, or is it just our something
No.
with our settings, or?
Was there ever a description of his eyes?
I don't think they were yellow. I actually don't know what the description of this was. I don't think there was. Oh my god, what a cut.
Yeshua, Maragasha, Din Zaret.
Naptaya Maliletle Ara. Babaita. Rihekela.
Likahina Rabba? Behutsuta?
I don't know.
Are they religious?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Would
Why are
Romans
they
care about that?
defending? No, I didn't think that they would.
Antunkul komnazin blakashaki. Natilulna Sachadu Dirakashoki wa Elna Staku.
Bilave Sahalin, Hinun, Knava, Higaba!
No.
Oh, stop talking.
Get out of here. Is that Nicodemus?
Time Kahaladne. Wabek Belel. Hifai and the Barach.
Ah.
Get him out of here. What the?
Amar lana en ant Meshiaka. Ehuana. Takson baranash yetheu bayamin khayil.
It's that serious.
I don't know.
This guy had to rip his clothes.
That has a ritualistic importance, right?
What?
Ripping your clothes?
Yeah, if you're grieving.
Who are these people?
Those soldiers, right? I don't know.
وزيرة وخد منهم
Ikasa, Shakira, Mustafa.
Pitram tangla krat tininut. Tekakathani telotut.
Did we hear it?
What?
The crowing of the...
Oh. No.
Okay, they didn't have it. I was looking for it.
I think it's early in the morning, right? Like
Yeah, I just remember like other interpretations actually like
that actually happens like
right
immediately
after.
after.
He says, yeah.
I kind of like this better.
Interesting.
It's less like corny.
Like, kind of like before the morning.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what Jesus meant?
Yeah, before the sun rises. I.e., tonight you'll do it.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way.
What do you think what was this arrangement that you made?
I don't think he realized it'd be this bad. That they'd beat him like this.
Man, didn't read the refund policy.
Sabanaya!
Yo, these kids, yo.
Oh! Whoa. Oh my gosh, they got their friends to harp on this man.
You think this is actually happening?
Probably not. Well, I mean, I don't recall this in the Bible. He was being tormented
Yeah.
by demons.
But I mean, like, do you think these are physical people? Or this is like what it looks like in his head?
Maybe.
Interesting choice
to
have
make
it be
them
children.
children.
Yeah. And there's the rope.
Ew. It's like filled with maggots.
Catalum kuljoma sire kuma betram spit.
Gubernator.
Madi lama la sertinlech al dat kon. Ma avadanash dek didim kagzaf aloch.
Halel al-Shabbatna, Consul.
Low blow. He is a son of David.
Gubernator. Dihu Meshiach Adoneinu.
Ezaredi kevarei estakalilun minda le Kaisar, Consul.
Now you're speaking my language.
All right, bring him up.
Me interficere te vol. Cur. Quid fecisti?
Regni meum non est hoc mundo.
Shalet le asira. Wala khashka khet begdin. Ana shawmin galil lagdi.
Yehewe.
Edano mitkanech lechewele rodos malka.
Herod. All the interpretations of Herod has been always been so interesting.
Right.
You've seen Jesus Christ Superstar?
Like indulgence. You showed it to me a while back, but I can't remember what King Herod. How they portrayed him.
Listen, what is Herod like culturally?
I think he's
Manhand.
Roman too.
Magmebek. Mi famrach. Thivum baldek min hazui.
Yeah, he's Roman.
Ulachata. Unekiarea.
Si huc non condemnabo. Siu caiafam. Seditionem initiaturum esse. Si ite condemnabo. Discipuli eius initiabunt. Uter libet sanguis effunditur. Yerilkom di kursana. Accessibilcom avedra shachat. Edan man bain antun di accessibilcom. Ratsecha Barabbas? O Yeshua? Kri Meshiacha.
Hula Meshiacha. Shezib Barabbas.
That's wild, yo. Release this notorious murderer amongst our people, putting our people at risk.
Well, I mean, they made that calculus based
Yeah,
off
I
of
know.
like,
I just never really took in what they're asking for.
it's like crimes against human versus crimes against our God.
I just never thought about this. I never really thought about. Obviously, I knew Barabbas was released, but I always thought about it more about Jesus, them choosing Jesus to die. Never really thought about the risks that they're taking, having this murderer out in the streets again.
I wonder if anything ever happened as a follow-up.
Wow. I'm like, wow,
It's like that escalated.
these people are serious.
Musik malkut. Dayan schlakle.
They're efficient.
Yeah.
Get right to it.
It's already set up. Oh god. Okay. Oh god. What? What?
I know this is what caused the most controversy for this film.
This scene?
No, not even the brutality was a brutality, but it was the portrayal of the Jewish people, and not necessarily in the scene, but throughout the movie.
Wow, my heart is heavy. Y'all feeling good about this?
I mean, I don't know if they were asking for this. They just wanted him to be killed.
They can't even watch. Are the soldiers tired? That's wild.
I mean, yeah.
Can you imagine looking at your son like that?
Mutate flagello.
Oh,
Oh, you had Ooh. Ah.
Oh. Even their colleagues are taken aback at like how
Oh. Oh, jeez.
What is this? What's this baby?
Baby?
What is going on right now? What?
Okay.
Namayis nakom. Daudi. En radafuli. Irdefo nakom. Ythei menachma. Dihoda kashta.
The helper?
Aus! Satis! Mandatum erat hunc hominem punire!
Oh my gosh, how do you even? Oh my gosh, how do you? Oh, how? Oh my gosh, to be dragged after that. Wow, I thought those cloths were so wiped their tears.
I know. It's not gonna make a dent. This.
Rosa pulcherrima.
Oh.
Aspicite illum, regem!
Oh.
Like, I don't understand.
What?
Like, weren't they just passed over to this group?
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel this passionately about this guy that you need to do this? You know, like, I don't...
I think they were just doing their job and having fun with it.
There's like a... There's such a weird gap there.
Ecce como!
Alluonasha! Zeluvle!
Like, they didn't ask for this. They asked for crucifixion.
Et sluv anamolte con!
Lalala melek! Bram Kaisaros!
Potesta se smihite vel crucifigere vel liberare.
Wow.
Gentische civiles canna! Ol kabel la tehewe re l Kaiser!
Oh my goodness, what's the point of
What are the
that?
sides here? I don't...
What is the point in kicking down another person?
Antun te heon di băinița de avudule Antun. Anazacu min dama di anasham. Fac quod volunt.
Seriously, Rome was efficient.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, why you gotta whip him on the way? Oh, jeez. Oh. Oh, gosh. Oh, can you imagine, like, all the wounds on his back? I wonder if all crucifixions were like this. For people to have to carry their cross and people are just berating them the whole way through?
I don't think so.
Or is it just because this is Jesus that it's so chaotic right now? Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Just remember you pick up your son when he was a little boy. Oh.
Ila quest. Quis. Ila mate Galileist. Jones.
Bobby! Bobby! Ceci estis?
Bobby?
Videre non potestis? Quod iste homo procedere sicut hoc non potest?
قبل بنام لا حلل من سفر تحسره سه ليك خودي تشار إبراهيم هيلاري براتيش شو لخران
Havut Yama! Ha! Heamos!
وين ستسلفا يناش ميثرشا يبوثنا
I think it's fair to just kind of make clear.
Yeah, like this is not my cross.
State it. Have multiple people hear it. Oh, is this Veronica?
Maybe. Gosh, I feel like it did nothing.
Yeah. Look. There, that looks a bit better.
What?
Guido, Mul, Malki.
Like these soldiers, like I feel like it would make a lot more sense if it was those soldiers from the beginning that were doing this. Like that, to feel this passionately about this guy.
Yeah. Who are you? You're not even a soldier.
So this is, I'll talk about this point later, but this is one of the points of controversy.
Oh. Also, maybe people who don't know him, all they see is a criminal. They don't know what he has or hasn't done. So they just think it's justified to do what they're doing.
It's carrying them both.
How do you still expect?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, for them, this is a death sentence, right? So it's not like they're trying to preserve him.
I know, but they still want him to carry his cross all the way, like. Kind of like
Oh,
Abner. Kind of like
it's like
Abner
if he
said,
dies, he
like their
dies.
leader was like, "What are you doing?" What's he thinking?
Ribs? Is that what that's supposed to be?
Oh yeah. Whoa. Is it here? I've seen others do it here too.
I know, like they're putting it through the palm here.
Hithe hivo denale dena. Cocavel dna a faith le com.
Further out, yeah, they have to break his shoulder, right?
Why? I didn't know that. They had to break his shoulder to get him across.
I don't know if I like heard about it from this or like from this movie.
Oh! Did that actually happen?
I don't know.
That's not in the Bible.
So, one of the biggest controversies from this is just like the biblical and historical inaccuracies.
Right.
All throughout.
Yeah.
So it's like.
Oh.
Hey, aspici te caniculi.
Denau kishmi. Le komi hiv. بريثا خدثا تهيب لكم وخربين دمشلة خطاين.
أمرت دي خروس بت قديش وتبنى لبتلات يومين انخو مشيخة أنا أمر يردخو من صلبة ديناكادزي ونهامين.
أبا اشبكم إلا يدين المول ديفتين.
يتسلي لك بالك.
Wow.
أنا مش باتكس بس. ولا هو.
So Jesus is the only one that got a cross. I wonder if that's unique to this interpretation too. Because that all crucifixions were crosses.
I don't know.
That's the guy who got like
Told him.
who like freaked
Yeah.
out, right?
Somebody.
This part never made sense to me.
Well,
Like, why give him a drink?
that's something they offer, I guess,
Like, what's the point?
to satisfy their thirst.
But you're trying to kill them, aren't you? Like, what's the point
I
of
don't know in their lives.
doing something that's like life extending?
It was also always sour wine, so it's like they weren't like wasn't anything refreshing.
Accomplished.
Yeah, dead.
Oh wow, they made it to be this
There it
intense.
is. I always imagine the veil to be much, much bigger. No, it's already.
Cassius! Estina! Mortus est!
What's the veil there? The altar? Or the stairs?
No, no, no. The
What's the
actual, like,
Oh, I didn't
there's
see it.
it's on the
There's
ground
some,
now. Yeah. It was just like a little tapestry.
I legit thought that was metaphorical. Oh. Yeah, you lost.
You thought the veil was metaphorical?
Like the veil was torn. Yeah. I didn't think that it was literally torn.
Yeah.
From the
oh.
earthquake?
Yeah, I always heard it was like it tore like vertically, and it was like
Wow.
thick. It was supposed to be like really, really thick.
Of which temple?
I don't know.
Is it Sunday already? Or this is them
Or they're putting them in.
putting him in. Oh no, it's Sunday. Whoa! That's kind of cool how they did that. That's cool.
Okay. So I'm not sure exactly where our camera cut out, but literally right as the final scene was wrapping up before the credits, our camera just overheated, and we've never had that happen. So
Never happened.
we'll see where that happens. But anyway, that's Passion of the Christ. What do you think?
Brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it's literally just that. It's literally just him going to the cross with some flashbacks.
Yeah.
I don't know why I expected there to be a bit more, but it's literally what the title is.
It's literally just
literally-
the passion and the passion only.
Yeah, and you know, I didn't know that the passion meant the crucifixion until you told me, like, in the last
Oh, really?
couple of years. Yeah. Remember when you told me? I was like, what? I did not know that.
Yeah.
And is that a Catholic term?
I don't know. I assume. I've just always known that was, it referred to, like, basically
The
what we know as, like,
Passion.
the stations.
Yeah, so this whole time, okay, the Stations of the Cross are Catholic. And I grew up Catholic, but I didn't know that it was called, I don't know, I just don't remember learning that it was called the Passion. So when this came out, like, I literally thought passion just meant, like, Jesus being passionate.
You've been going to, like, the Passion play and, like,
I know.
it's a play about the Passion.
I know, but I just never, it never
Because it
clicked
has
for
another
me.
meaning, like, a
Yeah.
more accepted
Common
meaning. Yeah.
meaning. That I legit just thought it was like...
That also applies, right?
And it can apply. It's
no,
like,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yes, like, it is a very... Yeah, and, like, for it to, you know, Jesus followers are very passionate about Jesus. Like, the Passion of the Cross. Like, yeah, we're all very passionate about Jesus. So, yeah, I didn't know that it was that.
It's actually that.
But yeah, it's an interpretation that I feel was familiar to me growing up, like, with the Stations of the Cross.
Especially Catholic and Filipino Catholic, like...
Yeah, because in the Philippines, they do this.
Yeah.
They do this,
For Easter.
y'all.
Yeah,
if you don't know that, Good Friday,
They-
people actually volunteer
To
be crucified. And
they,
do the whipping,
they
like,
scourge
do...
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go down the street. Yeah, so, like...
Wow.
Yeah, especially kind of having that context, it was familiar. I agree with the familiarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I can't be too disappointed in the fact that it was like the Passion and the Passion only with no other kind of context, because that's what it promises.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what it delivers. But I think that's also the part that I struggle with, because I don't know. I guess when you make a movie, part of, and maybe this is presumptuous, but I was gonna say, like, part of the assumption is that other people are going to see it. People who are not familiar with this story.
Right.
And it does those people no favors at all in terms of, like, trying to explain context and trying to explain what's happening and why it's important. It just kind of goes play by play of what happened. So if you have no idea and no context, then I don't know what I walk away from this movie with, right? I'm trying to, like, separate, like, my understanding of it from what we just saw. And it's tough to do that. Because, like, this interpretation was obviously one that just kind of focused on the brutality of it, which is important, but you don't really understand why it's important in this film. Like, you don't understand, that's not told to the audience. And even a Christian audience, I feel like it leans too much into that without the conversation of why, or like the redemption piece or the love piece. And I think that is one of the pieces that was, like, super controversial about this. So there were a few notes of it. Like, one was the historical and biblical inaccuracies, like tons of creative liberties taken, which already, as like a follower and as a believer, kind of puts you in a weird place when you're watching something like this. It's kind of like, okay, this is clearly just art, and I don't know how much stake to put into it because of that. Like, if you're, so there's that. The second piece was that it was highly thought to be anti-Semitic in the portrayal of Jews and how they were towards Jesus. Mel Gibson is attached to the film, so obviously there's stuff and history there.
Mel Gibson and the Jewish people?
Yeah, he's been on many, like, anti-Semitic rants and yeah. So there's that whole thing that was attached to it, and what I was reading about it was kind of like there's just a portrayal of, like, this vitriol of the Jewish people against Jesus without any acknowledgement about the fact that he is Jewish, right? And, like, not everybody was like that, but it feels like this entire thing was just the portrayal was very evil. And a lot of people, obviously, and rightfully so, had a problem with that. And yeah, and the last piece was just kind of like the focus on just the brutality and nothing else, which, in my opinion, takes away from what the significance of what this was.
Interesting.
And this whole thing is just about what we talked about at the beginning, which is, like, how important is this to you to see how brutal it was, so that you can connect it to what it means to be saved.
Oh, it's gonna be a good conversation.
Right? No, because like if that's all that it's about,
right,
and it's just kind of the visual representation of that, then like it's important, yes, but like it's not just that. So I don't. So those were the pieces that were controversial about this.
Yeah.
And some of it I agree with, some of it I don't, but it's kind of where I landed.
Yeah, for me, if the purpose of this film was to show the brutality of Jesus' crucifixion, I think it did that well. And from what I've heard, I haven't done like, I don't know the historical research or whatever, but apparently this was light. Like Jesus went through way worse than this. So it's like, dang. So like if that was their purpose was not to show like why Jesus did it, whatever. Like I understand that some people might need that context, or it would be nice to have that. But that doesn't sound to me after watching this that was the point, to include like why this. I think at its best, after someone watching this, whether or not you're Christian, is to ask more questions. And then you can delve. I think it's really hard to make any kind of film about Jesus and for it to be like, this is a sufficient work of, you know, media to really represent Jesus. There's always going to be, there's so many translations of the Bible, so many different sects of Christianity. So there's never going to be one that's like, you know, like at the end of the day, you got to go to the source. You got to go to the Bible.
Could I jump in about that point? Like, I think that's fair, and that was a thought that crossed my mind in terms of like, there's the depth of why this was important. There's so much for you to. There's an entire book. There's interpretation. There's like the Chosen, for example, is like 4 or 5 seasons deep, and they're still exploring why this ultimate event it becomes so important. So it's hard to, I agree, capture all of that. But there's a difference between that and then what they did, which is like, we're not going to do any of it, right? We're not going to even try to explain it. It's just going to be about that. So I think for sure, like there's like, it's hard and like very impossible to like explain all of that within like a 2-hour frame. But there's a difference between it being hard and like it being not done at all, or like not even touched on.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the viewer's expectations of what this film is going to be about. Like if you're expecting, like parables and all this and why it was important, like you're not going to get that, and that probably disappointed a lot of people. But I don't know, I can't knock it for like, its title is literally Passion of the Christ. That's literally all it is. And then to your point about, you know, does this add to like whether or not you're saved, or like do you need this to be saved, like to see how
to help you like better connect to like the significance of
so saving. This is interesting because so this is my first time like really seeing the film. I think maybe I'd have a bigger shock value if I had it, because the film is so popular. I've seen pictures of this Jesus on a cross, like I've seen how brutal it is. I've just never had the heart or the courage to actually watch it all the way through and like see how he ended up like that. With that said, I was saved when I got saved at 17. And I don't think it ever, like not watching this, I don't think ever impacted my salvation. It wasn't like, now that I've seen this, I don't feel more safe.
That's what I mean, yeah.
And because as a standalone movie, like, yes, of course, like it's heartbreaking, like to see Jesus, like, oh my, like, he was the lamb that was slain, like the one and final, like kind of like what the devil was saying here is like, no one man can carry that burden. And then it went to show like, yes, one man actually can, because of what this was. The Chosen, on the other hand, because there's so much more context, like that version of like whatever, like I don't know, I'm gonna be sobbing for sure. Like this one, I like shed like a little bit of tears, but like I honestly thought I would cry more. But I think because it's like the standalone film, and I think I'm also paying attention to like how they did the film and it's like artiness, and it felt more like a horror film. I mean, this was a horrific thing to happen.
Yeah, of course.
But like to take, it's very interesting how, I'm not mad at how they did it actually, but like the children and Judas, and like Judas
Yeah.
being tormented, and you know, like the demons in that sense. I still have questions about the baby though. I'm not sure about the baby. I'm not mad at it either. I just want to understand what that was all about. And then oh my gosh, what did I want to say? Oh yeah, just about the Stations of the Cross. So Phil and I, interestingly, we were talking about this recently because I'm doing a Bible study with a friend of mine, and we just finished all the Gospels. And I remember growing up, like learning about Stations of the Cross, like Veronica and like Jesus falling 3 times and Mary meeting Jesus, and like when I was reading through, I was like, wait, where did these things happen in the Gospels? So I was like, I went back and I was like, I can't find these things. And then after I did more research, they're not biblical. So like Veronica wiping Jesus' face is not biblical. Not all the stations are not non-biblical, but there are definitely things there that were put in there that are not actually recorded from the Bible. So then after doing more research, and I think this is like speaking to more of what this movie is about, is it's not, I'm just assuming, I could be wrong, but if this is meant to be like historically accurate, like theologically, okay, it's not meant to be. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't think so. I don't think
Because
there
it's
was much
not.
effort to make it like historically accurate.
Because what I found about the Stations of the Cross is that it's actually not meant to be theologically accurate. It's not meant. It's
Theologically accurate?
Theologically, historically.
Okay.
It's not actually meant to be.
Because I've never actually read what you read, so this is
Okay,
like I've heard this, but I don't.
So this, my research. Not meant to be. What is it? Yeah, it's not meant to be. Accurate of like what actually happened in the Bible. Its purpose was actually more a devotional tool to help you empathize more with the Passion. So the Stations of the Cross started back in like the 4th century when people were like doing pilgrimages in Jerusalem, and like, you know, went through that whole thing that like, people still do today, but not a lot of people could afford to do that, so they made replicas of these pilgrimages in all around Europe. And so I guess Stations of the Cross were like along this trail. It's like they had markers of like imitating them. Yep. This is where this happened, this is where this. And then somewhere along the line, after hundreds of years, like in the 18th century, the Pope at the time was like, let's spread this like Stations of, like he actually deemed it, these are Stations of the Cross, and then made it like this whole thing across the whole Catholic Church, like all around the world, which is why Catholics follow that to today.
But my question there is like, where did that first iteration of let's create mini pilgrimages all over the world, where did that first iteration come from? If like, how do they know what to recreate if it wasn't like that? It had to come from somewhere. This idea that
honestly, what I remember is like it's from oral tradition. From I remember oral tradition, oral Catholic tradition, and Christian. I didn't say this. Medieval Christian imagination, and like mysticism of like what maybe could have happened. And again, it's not meant to be like this is what actually happened. It's just like as you go through this, for you to empathize with what Jesus went through. Which in my mind, when I read that, I was like, wow, like I don't really feel like, for me personally, I feel like that's the Holy Spirit's job. To, you know what I mean? Like, I personally don't feel like I need added stuff, like in a devotional sense. That's just me though. To feel and like appreciate and, you know, be saved by Jesus. Like when I went through that, like I still cry about it to this day. Thinking about my salvation and like how I got saved and like how, you know, Jesus is alive in my life today through the Holy Spirit. And I don't think I needed to see, just back to your point, needed to see something like this to, like, it didn't add. I think it added to like just how sad I was that, you know, this happened to Jesus.
Yeah.
Like Jesus being my best friend, like that is so sad that that happened, and it was actually way worse.
Sure.
And like just to see how he paid for
Right.
my sin.
So all of that, like, how bad it was, like, I have no doubt in my mind it was brutal, and probably more brutal than they can show. But because of how, like, because of the liberties taken, a lot of what I see here, like, I don't know how much of it I could be like, oh wow, it was like that, it was bad. Like, I'd have to look into it myself and kind of try to understand. And even from that, there's a lot of kind of interpretation, because just how things were recorded and passed down, like, you don't know, right? So it's kind of hard. But to the point of like seeing this to solidify my salvation, or kind of like strengthen the resolve of why the sacrifice was so important. I'm the same way. I don't think it like seeing it helps me, because for me the ultimate sacrifice was his life, right? And that part of it hasn't changed. How badly it how brutal it was to get to the point of where that sacrifice ultimately happened, I don't know if that increases anything for me. Like it's hard to explain, because like
it is hard to explain.
Like the promise and the covenant was fulfilled when he passed, right? And that's where the salvation and the faith in this, like, that's when everything was made new, right? And I feel like what happened to get there in this passion, and like how brutal the death was, I don't think that makes the significance of that death higher. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Because the promise was that he was going to die for our sins. If he was going to die by something very quick or something very long, it doesn't change the fact that the covenant was fulfilled in that moment.
Right.
Right. So I think but
I think the how does matter in a sense. Like, okay, this is so hard for me to articulate. The how, I understand. I think it is significant based on the Old Testament, based on Jewish law.
Yeah.
And whatever, them sacrificing the lamb. Like, that was done for centuries to atone for sins. And obviously, if Jesus is going to be like, that stops with me, then, and to carry the weight of sin for the whole entire world and generations to come, that's massive. So I think it makes sense that he had to die in such a brutal way. And Jesus knew it was coming too. Like God knew this was coming. Like at Golgotha, he was like, the anxiety is real. Like, this guy was sweating blood.
But like he was the sacrificial lamb regardless.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like I feel like the weight of it though, it makes sense to me that it would be this brutal, and in a way I think it is the right, I don't know, approach or way to show, like, I don't know. I'm okay with like showing the brutality of it. I don't know that
I'm not against it.
I'm not against it. I'm not against any of it. Just understanding what it was maybe made for. I need to watch some interviews. I need to see like what Mel Gibson said about this and his intention.
We don't need interviews. Like, it's just kind of like we're talking about
I just want to know the intention.
Like our interpretation of, like, not interpretation, but like whether or not this helps you in your faith.
Oh, okay. If that's the question, if it helps me in my faith, then no. I don't think I'm a stronger Christian now that I've seen this movie. But that's just like me, where I'm at in my walk of faith. Like, I've been a Christian now for over 10 years, and I've experienced and seen too much to have any doubt in the fact that this happened, that Jesus is real, alive today. Like, I've experienced too much. So I don't think that this would strengthen my faith, but it does make me feel empathy and appreciate more of Jesus' sacrifice, God's sacrifice, like sacrificing his only son. It makes me appreciate it more.
Yeah, I don't know. I hear that. It's so interesting though, because like I feel like the passion is so much of what my life in like a Christian faith was when I was growing up, Like that's what it's about. It's about the suffering. It's about what he went through. It's
Or like
about all
growing
that.
up when you were raised up.
Yeah,
It was about this.
It was about like I knew the story. Like I've like understood it. I like in my high school, like I directed like a passion like
I didn't
play
know that. Wow.
like thing. So like it was something that was taught to us, and like we know so much about that. And then when I started like a Christian walk and kind of understood relationship with Jesus, this part of it was so far away from what my understanding of Christianity was.
Right.
And it's everything that he talked about before.
Yeah.
The teaching and what you carry forward with you, which is why the emphasis is so much less on how he dies, and it's so much more important about like what he taught and what led to people turning on him. Right. And like this part of it is like, sure, yeah, like obviously it's important and it's significant, but if Pontius was like, I wash my hands of it, I'm done, and in that moment hit him over the head with a rock, it still would have meant the same to me because of what he taught before, what happened and what the people saw in terms of him getting slain, and then the promise being fulfilled afterwards.
And even beforehand, the prophecies.
Right.
The hundreds of prophecies.
Those things. So like it's just, I think that's kind of where this misalignment for me is coming from. It's because like
this movie's just like a sliver of not even the most.
No. Like
because he was gonna die anyways.
Yeah. And so I'm not like contesting because I don't know, I'm not learned enough to understand like or to contest like that it shouldn't have happened this way. Like that's how it happened. And there's biblical and historical and there's a lot of like significance, like ritualistic significance to how it happened and why it happened that way.
But also like that was prophesied about.
Right, exactly.
The way that was prophesied about.
So all of that. And so I'm like, I'm not even gonna question that. I'm not gonna go into that part of it. I'm just saying that like it's not to the major point that we were kind of going off of. Something like this, like for me, isn't a required viewing. Right? Like I think.
Yeah, that makes sense. There are many people who've been saved and living this life before this movie came out.
Yeah, and I know that's like people are like super passionate about like not only like this film in particular, sure, but like just the idea that you have to understand the suffering in order for you to appreciate the salvation, and I think you can, but I don't know. It's such an interesting conversation, and that's one that we've talked about in the past too, in terms of like just kind of teaching styles. But
I think too, like it depends on how you look at, like, yes, Jesus died for our sins, but Jesus is also the ultimate example for us as Christians. Like as he was saying, like even in this movie, in the flashback when he was like, people are gonna hate me. If people hate me, they're gonna hate you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, look what he's done.
And they hated me first.
Yeah, like look what he's done. And then later we learn in Acts, Paul went through the same type of flogging. I think from how I read the Bible, they said they flogged him until he was like almost at the point of death. So I feel
Peter
like Paul went through this.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I'm not even talking about Peter. Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's crucified? Is Paul crucified?
I don't know about
Not
Paul.
Peter.
I said Peter was.
Oh, Peter was. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
but I'm just talking about Paul.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, just how like just Jesus just like normalized the suffering. And also like if we're gonna follow Jesus and he's the ultimate I don't know, example, but if we're trying to be more and more like Jesus, like we can't expect not to suffer in this life. Like look what Jesus went through.
Yeah. In this life there will be suffering.
Yeah, it was promised. And I think what was so beautiful to me in this is like through all the suffering, all the like flogging, whatever, all that stuff that they did to Jesus, the first thing he did was pray, go to the Father through like all the not temptations, but like the devil just talking down on him, making him doubt. Like first thing he did was go to pray to the Father. I'm just like, wow, like that example, that even through everything that he went through on the way to the cross, at the cross, never once did he even flinch at, like here, even though his suffering was fully human throughout, his spirit was fully God here to me.
Mm-hmm.
There was nothing human about this except his suffering. Everything else was fully God.
Yeah.
Like as he preached like this upside down kingdom, right? Like pray for your enemies, love them, like did all that.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you want to touch on for this one?
I don't know. Nothing else really comes to mind. I'd love to hear what other people think. I haven't really watched anybody else's reactions to
Well, yeah, that
this
makes sense.
or like
yeah, no, obviously, like, and like, we're coming at this from the perspective of two people like in completely different places within like their own relationship with Jesus, and then obviously different from where you are in your understanding. So,
and we're not like scholars.
I'm the furthest thing from it, but
But
I don't think that also I also don't think that discredits interpretation of, you know, like my relationship with Jesus and
no.
So from that perspective, like I'm just hoping to learn. Like I want to understand how people feel about this film, this interpretation, and whether or not this is like seeing something like this is important for your faith.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's a really cool discussion to have.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I if you've listened to a bunch of this, you know where we stand or where I stand on that. It's like it doesn't really help me, but you know, like I think it's good to know, and you know, just it helps you visualize. I don't know. Like it's good. It's good to understand it, and it just kind of makes it more real, as opposed to just kind of like, oh, he died for our sins. Like, what does that actually mean? What did it look like? This helps to answer what it looks like. What it means, I think, is more so in what we do after.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's just what it is. It's like the relatability of like, again, it's like if Jesus could do this for the will of God, it's like, wow, I could do anything.
Yeah.
That's how, like, it's just how I relate to the suffering that he went through. Like, to see it like this, I'm like, oh my gosh, look who I have in my back corner. You know.
Yeah.
I could suffer a rejection or two.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. I feel like it's always such a, the disappointment for me is like, I feel like it's such a missed opportunity, especially when you have such a huge platform and a big budget and like big names attached to it.
And this is all they did with it?
And not all they did with it. It's just kind of like Great Commission. Like we're tasked and we're asked to kind of spread a message, and we're I think that there's such a great opportunity here to do that, but I feel like this only speaks to Christians who are already converted.
You don't know that.
But like, what did you learn from this if you weren't?
I'm just saying, like you said, like everyone is in their own walk in their journey.
Let's say I don't know anything about Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know if I walk away understanding that anymore.
Well, that's okay. But that's okay if that's you. But let's say maybe there was someone else who, I don't know, like kind of knew like surface level about Jesus and was like, whoa, this happened. Like, and even like maybe not even just about the film, but how big it got and like the acclaim. And it's like, why? Then maybe I do more research and be like, oh, you just never know how, you know, what gets people going and asking questions and why they want to delve into something. Like only God knows.
I know.
And I think like, if anything, I'm sure this film has dropped many seeds, like planted many, even if it's just in seed form and someone doesn't come to Jesus till 20 years later after seeing this.
I guess, I just, I don't know. I just feel like it was more of a, I just feel like it was a drop ball.
Interesting.
Like I think, there's just like such little context about what I'm watching, and it's I think for this conversation, you really have to strip your understanding of the Bible and the understanding of what's happening here, and then just kind of try to objectively see like this for what it was in these like 2 hours. And maybe you heard about Jesus, and maybe you heard about something happening to him. Here you saw it, but that's it. Like I don't know. I just feel like there could have been whatever. I think it's pretty clear what I feel, and it's just like I would have wanted more of that, especially I think retrospectively. It's because like we know how big it got, and we know how many eyeballs it got. So imagine if more context about the teaching was in it. Like he took artistic liberties anyway to weave in little bits, so you could have weaved in more, or like the. So I think that's why it was just kind of like, oh, that's really too bad.
I don't know. I think maybe this film serves one purpose.
Yeah.
There have been other shows.
Like, this is like I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
But I'm sure people love it.
I'm sure other people were disappointed too. I mean, you can't be the only one. But yeah, I think every kind of media about Jesus movie show that actually has an intention to, I don't know, do good, serves a purpose. And yeah, I guess that's all I want to say about that. I don't know what the purpose is, only God knows. But I'm sure this film did great things for people, brought them to salvation one way or another. Again, like, I don't mean like give your life to Jesus right after this movie. But yeah, you just never know how like seeds are planted. And yeah. Yeah, just the way like The Chosen, I feel like is a different purpose, and I don't know, a different time as well.
Well, I think the benefit that The Chosen has is just
the length. Yeah.
Like of their storytelling.
So good.
And like it's unfair to like completely different mediums,
yeah, you can't
completely
even compare.
different like missions.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's a different purpose, a different. Yeah, but I heard there's gonna be a sequel to this.
I don't doubt that.
Because there's so much more.
No.
Could be a prequel.
That I don't doubt that because of like, hey, we already like took it this far in terms of like, let's just be creative with it. Let's do the Passion too.
I would be Passion of the Christ Part 2. I can't imagine it's about the Passion again.
It can't be.
Yeah.
Because like then that's not the name of the like it's just.
If it's a sequel, then it's about Acts, right?
Yeah.
With flashbacks to probably maybe Old Testament and Jesus' teaching.
It should be.
Yeah.
Right, but like
then that might be more up your alley.
Potentially, if it's something like that, because that's more important to me.
Yeah.
Because like it's cool. Like yeah, you can plant. I don't. Okay, I don't want to open it up again, but like I don't feel like this necessarily plants seeds.
Maybe not for you. I'm just saying you just don't.
No, but so like my interpretation, like what planting seeds is here's a lesson, go look into it. This was like
no, that's not necessarily a seed.
That what I'm telling you is that's what planting seeds is for me.
Oh,
right. This is
okay.
here's a
that's
lesson.
That's not what I'm saying.
Okay, but like leaving it for someone without the instruction of like, okay, nurture the seeds that were planted. Mm-hmm. If it's just kind of like you're throwing seeds and like someone's gonna know that it's there and other people won't, that's not the same as planting seeds. Planting seeds is you're putting a seed and you're saying, hey, nurture that. I don't think that does this. This is like, I'll throw seeds at you and then, hey, you can do something with it if you want. That's not planting seeds. That's being passive about, and that's being like just kind of hopeful about something sticking to a wall.
I think maybe, sure. I think that can be said about the filmmakers. but I think God can do so much more than what these filmmakers can do. Like, if that's what the filmmakers did, just like throw some seeds, doesn't matter where they land. Some of them could land on good soil, but at the end of the day, whoever those seeds drop for, God can take to higher heights. Like, sure, this film did this, but God could do way bigger. So in my mind, if a seed fell on, like, I don't know, like I said earlier, like someone's just been curious and then they don't even think about Jesus for another 10 years. But then someone comes into their life, I don't know, multiple people come into their life and talk to them about Jesus and they're like, hey, I remember that film. It wasn't that significant to me before, but let me watch it again after now learning about Jesus and maybe going to Bibles. I don't know. I'm just like making up a hypothetical.
I know. I think that's why I'm like making these faces, because like it's such a hypothetical that I'm like.
But there's so many people in the world, and I think I've just heard so many testimonies of just how God has worked in them. And I think I'm even speaking for like myself in not that exact story, obviously, but it's only looking back now after I've been saved, after like what everything God done in my life, to see like how He's planted seeds in my life as a child even. And it's like, whoa, like I never even thought that was significant back then. But then to look back on it now, it's like, wow, like God was really there for me all throughout.
No,
so I'm just saying that
I'm not doubting that. But those examples, it's not like a horror story of someone getting punished. It's like,
no, it's not.
Right? Like that's what I'm saying. Like this is like a.
I'm just saying God can use anything.
Okay, no, I agree. But I'm just saying, like, this is. I feel like it's apples and oranges. The examples that you're thinking of, and this being a seed for someone later on.
I think because I'm just saying we don't know, so I'm okay with that. I don't know, and God knows, and I'm like so content with that because I believe in this God that can do above and beyond anything that we can ever imagine.
Sure, and I'm like I don't want you to misunderstand. I'm not saying that, right? I'm just saying that like the examples that you brought up and that we've talked about at length are not this, right? So it's like if someone like 20 years down the line like talks about something, and I'll be like, oh yeah, it's because like Jesus was like that way. I'm not gonna think about this and be like, okay, I don't know. Now I'm getting into like really specific hypotheticals.
I don't know. I still, even as you're saying that, I was like, I don't know. You don't know that. Like, if someone saw this film, they weren't saved. 5 years down the road, they get saved and they remember like, wow, Jesus did that for me. He thought specifically about me generations later. That's powerful.
But I think that's my issue. Like, by constricting it to this, him suffering, and not having the context of like, oh wow, he laid the. Okay, so our camera overheated again. Honestly, don't remember where I was in that point. I know it was kind of like mid-point and talking about something, probably really passionate about it, but I cannot remember. So we're just gonna cut it here before it overheats again. Let us know what you think in the comments. Be kind. We're all
just learning.
Yeah, but you know, I would love to hear everybody's opinion. But hopefully you enjoyed watching this. If you do want to see the full uncut reaction, you can check that out on our Patreon. But yeah, that's all we got for today. Peace.